managing director of Dutch-German company in design and innovation. It's called Pilotfish. All right, well, Nick, as I was saying earlier, the Taiwanese government is trying to promote its design industry, and obviously they're working a lot with Pilotfish. So in what sense can you talk about that, and why the government has kind of set one of its goals for the year 2013 is to promote its culture and creative, and which also includes design. Yeah, so can you maybe share about your view and what you know about the Taiwanese market?
Allow me to answer it, just to basically tell you why creativity is important.
Sure, sure.
And it has a lot to do with how young people can actually have jobs 30, 40, 50 years from now. Now, everything they learn now, how can it be applicable 30, 40 years from now? So one way of making it more insured or more applicable is by actually teaching younger people about creativity, creative thinking, creative type of, the creative industry becomes important then, because it is an industry that has to switch and change with its environment. A lot of things that maybe a person learned 20 years ago in computer science is not applicable anymore. Or even 10 years ago in computer science is not applicable anymore. And you have to constantly learn more. But one way of actually making learning easier and becoming more adaptable to the future is by focusing more on creativity and actually teaching young people about creativity, which is not just maybe linear thinking, but maybe various thinking. I like to call it like the T-shaped people approach. Are you familiar with that concept?
T-shaped?
T-shaped
No.
people. But basically, it's like a very broad knowledge that a person may have, and one deep expertise. So you have this deep expertise, but you have this broad knowledge. And you can then draw from the knowledge you have. Let's say it's the arts, it's fashion, it's marketing, it's sales, it's history. You draw from this, and you can come up with creative solutions to issues, to problems, to challenges.
Oh, okay.
And some people even say that even T-shaped is not enough. You have to be pie-shaped.
Pie-shaped?
Which is two deep expertises and one broad knowledge.
Oh, pie. Yeah, right.
Like the pie.
The pie. I'm thinking of the pie that you eat.
Not the. No. Yeah. Well, that's nice. Okay. It's almost lunchtime, so we're getting hungry, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
okay.
No, but
pie.
yeah, you're right. It's more. It's the pie-shaped thinking, and it has to do with what Steve Jobs said. It's about creativity is connecting things, and it's about like understanding how to connect different fields to come up with a solution to a challenge.
This makes a lot of sense because I don't know if I'm right about this, but Taiwanese people generally are very, when they are students, kids, they are very studious. How Taiwanese parents always, want the kids to study hard and I'm very studious. But the thing is that they only know how to listen to orders from the teachers or supervisors or eventually their boss. But they don't really know how to think on their own and be creative. So now I think I understand why the government is trying to promote this industry, if I'm right about this, is to help Taiwanese people learn how to think on their own and be more creative in thinking. Am I right?
Actually, I think Taiwan people have always been creative. Let me give you an example. Like, I think the business sense in Taiwan is second to none in the world. The Taiwan people business sense is like in the DNA of the people.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Also, I see that there is a huge kind of push and a huge kind of learning curve that has happened in the past 12 years in the field of design or industrial design, where we are in. 12 years ago, jobs were almost thrown at us. It was like something, hey, here we are, and then people were giving us jobs. But now we have to do a different type of approach. We have to, be more focused on the user and have to try our clients understand why we make business value to work with us. But I see this kind of really big, not just change, but improvement of the way Taiwan designers or creative people in Taiwan are more and more becoming globally active, and they are becoming bigger and bigger in the global scale.
Wow. Well, you're saying so many great things about the Taiwanese
Well, it
people.
is true. It is
Yeah.
true. It is very true. Yeah.
Okay, well, what else have you discovered about Taiwanese people? Let's move on to there. Since you've been in Taiwan, you said how many years now?
Almost 6 years now.
6 years. And actually, your wife is from Taiwan.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And what have you discovered besides Taiwanese people being creative? What has it been like working with Taiwanese people?
Well, it's. Let me put it like this. Like, how can I say it? It is. Nothing is easy in life. You have to work everywhere. And it is a difference if you come as a foreigner to Taiwan with money in your pocket and you want to spend that money, or if you come here and you try to get business from people in Taiwan. So you have to really prove yourself to be, providing a service or have a product that people need in order to be able to sell that. But if you come with money in the pocket and you're going to find a manufacturer, the approach is different. It's a lot easier because then people, of course, want to be, always very, they want to invite you in and they want to do everything that you're asking them to do because you have money in the pocket. But if you require money from your clients, and it's everywhere in the world the same, I suppose, it is a different approach. So, but what I've seen in Taiwan on another aspect, I mean, I'm still very impressed every time I use the Jaeyun, the MRT, the metro here in Taipei. It's fantastic. It's probably, my wife can be at 11 o'clock at night anywhere in Taipei City and it's super safe. She doesn't, I don't have to worry. She doesn't have to worry.
Right.
In the metro system, it's very clean. It's very efficient. Basically, it almost makes people, how to say, the brain's dormant because you don't have to think. You can just enter the system and you can go anywhere in the world in Taipei, and it's very convenient. The time can be measured. The trains are running 100% on time. They're always it's always perfect. So I'm super impressed. Taipei also had not anymore, but used to be the largest building in the world. And we have to understand that this is in an area where earthquakes are very common, where basically 200-300 earthquakes happen a year.
That's right.
And I don't want to scare people because it doesn't scare people here, right? So generally.
So do you think that doing things here in Taiwan has been very different from where you're from? I know you're from Zurich, Switzerland.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Is it like a big difference? What things have you had to adjust to work with, to work in Taiwan or with its people?
Well, to be honest, I don't feel it was an adjustment because also I have to say that the field I'm in, I'm talking to a lot of people who have been internationally educated and I feel people are very internationally exposed. Due to the fact that Taiwan is an island, it makes a lot of people travel the world. I mean, you yourself, I mean, I think you've had also a very interesting journey throughout the world where you've seen many things and
that's true.
And experienced many things also. So yes, I think actually working with Taiwan people is a great pleasure. It's nice. People are actually very polite. Sometimes a little bit too polite, perhaps. but I like that.
You.
No, but I like that because you see, I always say you can be straightforward. You can be very much to the point, but you can still be polite. Sometimes you have the feeling that some managers they have to just shout around and be very tough in order to be considered to be.
You're not like that, right?
I'm not trying to be like this. And I tell you also one of the things that I like philosophy a little bit, and I read about Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the French or Swiss French thinker, philosopher. He said that the greatest of all wisdoms is friendliness. So he didn't say that, you can have 10 PhDs, you can have 12 master degrees, you can have whatever you want to have. But if you don't know how to say thank you and please and could you and be polite, what do you really have? Because that's the basic education that actually your parents should tell you. And that's another thing I like about Taiwan because in Europe now we have this new expression called sandwich generation. What does that mean? It means that, because of economic needs, families are now again living together and working together and staying in the same house together. And in some ways this is actually very good because you have maybe sometimes 3 generations in one house. But in Taiwan this is very common and normal.
Right.
And I love this. because it shows the importance of family, and it basically makes you respectful to the older generations, and you also you interact with each other in a very nice and usually respectful way. And I hope that Taiwan will always stay like this, because I love that part of course, yeah, because it is the most important institution everywhere in the world is the family, and if the family is strong, you can also build a very strong state. And so I think this kind of institutional, this type of setup should be kept in that way, forever. And I see this so much in the Taiwan culture, embedded in the culture. Really? And I love this, and I hope it will never change. Because I'm not a big fan of like the, kind of Western thinking that when you're 18 years old, you have to move out, you have to live somewhere else. And now because of, sadly, the bad economy, people are moving back in, which is a good thing. But I think in Taiwan, it's always been embedded.
So how old were you when you left your home country?
Well, actually, I was a fairly young man when I started first studying in the UK, and went to the UK. But I always went back somehow. Okay. And I'm still in touch, of course, with many places in the world, and with my family, which is spread out all around the world.
I think you must value very much this Taiwanese, family kind of three generations living together, because
I love it.
You're away from home. So obviously you value this a lot.
See, home, I mean, this is I don't want to misquote if it was Seneca or if it was Cicero, but basically home is where your heart is. Oh. And it's not necessarily, home, I feel like my heart is in various places in this world, and one, of course, is here in Taiwan, but also in Switzerland. But I do feel that I feel very close here to Taiwan, and also the people here in Taiwan. And I love the food. I mean, this is one thing most foreigners will tell you about the food, and the food is fantastic.
Yeah. What's your favorite? That's typically Taiwanese.
I'm going to tell you now something that is very typical Taiwanese, and it's going to shock the media, because the media has propagated against this so much.
Shock me.
Yes. One is chow tofu.
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, I'm sorry.
Stinky tofu.
Stinky tofu, yes. And and this is actually something that may be surprising, because it is something that a lot of foreigners, I think the media has kind of made a little bit of propaganda by saying that foreigners don't like it. I even like the blood rice.
Oh, okay, the pig's blood cake, right?
The tiambula, every time you have the tiambula, and then you have inside of it, you have the rice with the blood. Yes, the pig's blood, and it's kind of a very kind of blackish type of looking rice. Right. I forgot the name in Chinese now.
猪血糕.
猪血糕, that one. And basically, I liked it a lot too.
Well, good for you. Good for you.
And the 1,000-year-old or 100-year-old egg that they're talking about, that also foreigners don't like.
Right.
I like too.
You like all the ones that people don't. That
yes, interesting, right? Like. And also I cannot demonstrate it right now, but since we are in this type of conversation, that way I can make a little bit of a joke about myself too. I'm extremely good when it comes to kuaizhe or chopsticks.
Oh, really?
And I don't know how this happened. The first time I came to Taiwan, I picked up chopsticks, and I was already better than 90% of the population in Taiwan.
Right. You can pick up peanuts, right? And peas.
Peanuts is not a problem. I mean, basically, it's more of when you see a fly flying around, I could catch it and throw it back.
Really? Okay.
Well, almost that good. But
yeah. Well, I heard that there is one thing that you thought maybe Taiwan can do better is you really love history, and Taiwan, if it could work harder at preserving its history. In what sense do you mean by that? Because I remember reading your interview somewhere.
Yeah, there was a few years ago when I.
Yeah. But can you explain? Because I think you do make some sense there.
But interesting. Since I said it, I see also that there has been a lot more done in that field.
Maybe because of what you said.
I don't think I have that much influence, but thank you very much that I'm part of this influencing people who influence that type of decision. Right. But yes, I think already quite a bit has been done on this. But what I think history is generally an important aspect, because one can learn so much from it. And, not just from, there's so much that one can learn out of this. And I think it's very important to keep that understanding alive. Because past mistakes don't have to be repeated. But sometimes one has the feeling, and I don't want to elaborate too much on this, but perhaps you can understand what I mean. But sometimes I have the feeling that people just don't look at history at all because they think it's not important. But I think it is. And that's why I'm also very impressed by the whole aspect of having different generations living in one household. Because you can learn from the elder generations. I used to love talking to my grandparents because I was, of course, interested in history, but it was so interesting to see what the world was like, in their lifetime.
Yeah.
And that's at least something one can engage in, and so easily actually in Taiwan, especially if the families live very close together.
Right. Well, a point well said. Well, Nick, it's been so much fun talking to you and hearing your stories, and you're definitely very versed in what you do, and you love your job, and you love the people
Absolutely,
here.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for this time.
Well, thank you, Shirley, and thank you also to RTI for having me here. So it's been fantastic, so thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for watching, people. I'm Shirley Lin.